I did it all wrong. Hey. She shot her. I was telling her she shot her. She's the one who shot her. She's the one who shot her. Restraining order, but she shot her. She was in the car. Oh my fucking God. Page in the car. How you feel? She just dropped her. Get up. You're scared as hell, right?
This story is wild from start to finish, like something straight out of a crime drama, except it's all too real. We're talking about the tragic death of Romeca Meeks and the messy tangle between her baby daddy, Carlos Los Sway, and his girlfriend, KJA Holly Johnson. Can you even imagine you drop your child off at school and suddenly your baby daddy's other woman pulls up, chaos explodes, and your life ends right there in front of everybody? Reports say Romeca had just dropped her son off at a South Loop school in Chicago when everything went down. Allegedly, Lost had her in a headlock during a heated altercation with Holly, and that's when shots rang out at close range. Witnesses say Holly pulled the trigger, leaving Romeca lifeless right there in public. And here's the kicker. People are whispering that Lost didn't just stand by. He may have played a role in setting this whole thing up. When the story first broke, the streets lit up with claims that Lost had ordered the hit. Folks pointed out he'd already been aggressive toward Romeca before, so much so that she had even filed a restraining order against him. That had everyone convinced this was no random blow-up, but something cold and calculated. But then the narrative flipped. Now reports claim Lost and Holly had dropped the kid off earlier, and Romeca allegedly came back with his lunch. That's when, according to some accounts, she supposedly got aggressive, and Holly allegedly acted in self-defense. The twist? Holly was arrested but quickly released, and the case was suddenly marked closed. Yes, just like that. Now people are buzzing that this smells like something bigger is being covered up. The streets are heated, saying justice won't come from the system this time, and some even claim authorities let Holly walk because there's way more to the story than we're being told. After digging deeper, I found reports that Holly actually had a protection order against Romeca, which changes everything about how this case is being framed. This isn't just tragedy. This is scandal, confusion, and whispers of corruption all tangled together. And here's where it gets even messier. Because Holly didn't just walk free for nothing, she came with receipts, baby. Word is, she had a pile of videos showing Romeca threatening her, pulling up on her, and making it clear she wanted smoke.
Hang up the phone right now, bitch. You want to sit on the phone and sneak this me? To a red-ass bitch?
You go right to jail.
With her friend? You want to sneak this me? Yes, she did. She a slut. She a slut, and her friend just said it. I got her, and she said, record me. And then if any one of them want to lie, call me for them hoes. For you, Kaya, and her, Holly. She said, call her.
I told Kaya.
Hey, Mari, you.
My homegirl said she finna go on me with Loso when she was saying, bitch, I'm gonna make them come and be with me. But I've been friends.
What we talking about? But I'm lying? But I'm lying? But I'm lying? You want to keep lying? This how I feel when somebody keep lying to somebody. Why did you lie? Tell me why you lied. Tell me why you lied. Why did you lie? Why you lie so much? Why do you lie so much? I'm talking to you. What? Talk to me. And I'll throw it down. You want to keep lying? This how I feel when somebody keep lying to somebody. Why did you lie? Tell me why you lied. Tell me why you lied. Why did you lie? Why you lie so much? Why do you lie so much? I'm talking to you.
I thought you were home. Ain't that what you said? I'm at home. You ain't nowhere near home. You ain't nowhere near at home. And I'm ringing both bells. What you study land for? I knew you was pulling up to a bitch crib. That's why you blocked me. Like I said, you was pulling up to her crib. Bitch, I ain't stupid. Y'all whole lights on up there and everything. Who the fuck you think you lying to, Carlos? All you do is lie. All you fucking do is lie. All your ass do is lie, bitch. Who was just on the phone with me for 45 minutes driving to a bitch house arguing with me, and whole time you pulling up to a bitch crib.
People online are split. Some swear the cops wouldn't have let Holly go unless she was in the right, while others claim they've seen the videos themselves, with Romeca coming off as straight up aggressive and even stalking the second baby mama. But wait, the plot thickens. Witnesses are saying that both Holly and Lost showed up at the school that day, but in separate cars. And that detail has the streets buzzing because it raises the biggest question of all. Why would they ride separately if they were just dropping off a kid? Some folks believe it was no coincidence at all, whispering that maybe the whole thing was pre-planned, an orchestrated setup disguised to look like self-defense. Now, let's get back to what the official story says. According to reports, Romeca had just finished dropping off her son in Chicago's South Loop when she crossed paths with Holly, the other baby mama tied to her child's father. What started as sharp words quickly spiraled into a full-on physical fight. Eyewitnesses said Holly pulled out a gun during the scuffle and fired at close range, right in the face, in broad daylight no less. And here's the chilling part. Lost was there too, and instead of stepping in to protect the mother of his child, witnesses allege he added fuel to the fire. The scene turned deadly, and Romeca was rushed to Stroger Hospital by emergency crews. But it was already too late. She was pronounced dead, leaving behind a young son who now has to grow up without his mother.
My sister is gone. Yes, she is. Please. Please.
Let Jenny be on cuss their ass out.
Please, I see y'all calling everything. I can't. I'm doing this to let y'all know I am very broken. Me and my family is broken. Please, y'all, please. Give us some time to respond, to talk to y'all, to anything. Please, y'all. My baby sister is gone. Please. The worst is pain ever. I just want y'all to understand. If y'all never understand in y'all life, I didn't know I had to do. Anybody lost a sibling, y'all, I don't know. I didn't know this hurt like.
The heartbreak didn't stop there. Family, friends, and neighbors came together in shock, holding vigils and demanding answers. They painted a picture of Romeca as a devoted mom whose whole world revolved around her little boy. And now, they're pleading for real justice in a case that looks more twisted every single day. Romeca wasn't just another name in the headlines. She was a woman grinding for her future. She was in school training to be a nurse, all while being a hands-on mom who poured her heart into raising her son. But in a matter of seconds, that little boy's whole world was shattered. His mother was gone, and nothing could ever replace that loss. The detail that broke the internet wide open was a simple handwritten note Romeca tucked into her son's lunchbox that very morning, and later shared online. It went viral because of how pure and heartbreaking it was. In the note, she wrote, "Monday is a fresh start. You can start off strong. Always remain yourself. You're the coolest, smartest, and funniest kid I know. I love you so much, and you make me so proud. Have a great day. Mommy loves you." Love, Mommy. Can you imagine? Hours after writing that, she was gone forever. People started saying this wasn't some random fight gone wrong. They believe it was personal, premeditated, and fueled by jealousy. Word on the street is Holly always knew Lo still had a thing for Romeca. And listen, insiders claim Romeca had it all. She was stunning, stylish, living a good life, and raising her son with grace. She had even managed to free herself from the chaos of loss, who was being accused of extreme narcissism. That made her a target, especially if the new girlfriend felt like she could never measure up. The tragedy also sparked something bigger. An online petition gained traction, highlighting how Romeca's death wasn't just about one toxic situation. It was a flashing red warning about domestic violence and how it silently destroys families behind closed doors. The petition flat out demanded action, saying it's time for leaders and communities to stop ignoring these cycles of abuse that keep claiming lives. It called on law enforcement and government officials to rigorously investigate Romeca's case, not sweep it under the rug. Supporters said justice has to come fast and fair, because without accountability, How can the community ever trust the system again? People want safety in their neighborhoods. They want schools to be free from violence, and they're tired of mothers losing their lives while warning signs go ignored. This wasn't just a crime, it's now a movement, and the people are demanding answers louder than ever. The petition didn't just call for justice, it demanded action. It urged the city to expand domestic violence awareness programs, to pour real funding into shelters, hotlines, and resources that could break the cycle and protect families in danger. The message was crystal clear. No one should live in fear inside their own home, and no child should be forced to grow up without their parent because of senseless violence. But here's where the outrage hit a boiling point, because the story didn't stop at Romeca's tragic death. Police confirmed Holly, the woman accused of pulling the trigger, was indeed taken into custody that same day. But then, just days later, she was suddenly released with 0 charges. That move shocked the community, especially when witnesses were swearing up and down that they saw everything go down with their own eyes. And the evidence floating online only made things worse. In one viral clip, you can actually hear Holly herself saying she's licensed to carry, like bold and unapologetic. Witnesses in the background can be heard yelling that Loss had Romeca in a headlock right before the shot was fired. That paints a whole different picture. One where Romeca didn't just attack, but was restrained and vulnerable in that final moment. Another woman at the scene could be heard on video demanding the police arrest Holly immediately. She flat out claimed she watched what Holly did to Romeca, and then watched her stash the gun in her car afterward. These aren't whispers. These are people who were there, speaking on camera. Yet somehow the justice system acted like there wasn't enough evidence to hold her. That's when the streets erupted with questions no one in power seemed willing to answer. How does someone walk free after a shooting in broad daylight, with witnesses, video clips, and a grieving family begging for answers? Something about this whole situation feels too neat, too quiet, like there's more being hidden than revealed. From the very beginning, the whole situation just didn't add up. Why would Holly pull a gun and attack Romeca at her son's school in front of witnesses, in broad daylight? It sounded way too reckless, until another side of the story started circulating. According to people close to the case, there's a completely different version of how those tragic events unfolded. And it just so happens to line up with why Holly was never charged. Insiders claim Holly didn't even drive down from Wisconsin that morning like some early reports suggested. Instead, she was already staying at Loss's house. Allegedly, she and Loss went together to drop off his and Romeca's son at school that morning. Later, when Romeca returned with lunch for her little boy, she supposedly spotted Holly and instantly confronted her. That's when, according to these same sources, the situation spiraled into a violent altercation. And here's where things get complicated, because reports say Holly actually had an active order of protection against Romeca, which flips the whole story upside down, making it seem like Romeca was the aggressor, while Holly simply defended herself when things got physical. That's the version being pushed by those backing Holly, that she struck back only because she had no other choice. But not everybody's buying it. Other witnesses came forward with an entirely different take, and their details have fueled even bigger suspicions. They claim Loss and Holly didn't arrive together at all, but instead pulled up in separate cars. And that tiny detail set the internet on fire, because if they were already living together, why would they ride separately to the same school at the same time? That's where the speculation blew wide open. Some folks are convinced it wasn't coincidence. They believe it was deliberate. Separate cars meant different entry points, different alibis, and a carefully staged scene that could be spun into a self-defense narrative if things went left. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from a tragic fight to whispers of something much darker. Was this an orchestrated setup? A pre-planned move disguised as a heated argument gone wrong? The streets are buzzing, and every new twist only makes the truth harder to pin down. Romeca's family isn't here for the back and forth, the rumors, or the legal technicalities. All they know is that someone must be held accountable. At her memorial, her mother's voice broke as she revealed the most painful truth of all. Romeca's young son hasn't spoken to anyone since losing his mom. That little boy is devastated, and the family is left clinging to one thing: justice. But the case itself is tangled in contradictions so messy it almost feels unreal. Witness statements clash with one another. The supposed order of protection complicates the timeline, and the viral clips from that day only keep sparking more debate. Each new piece of information seems to cancel out the last, leaving a cloud of confusion instead of clarity. So the real question becomes, what actually happened that day? Was Romeca really the aggressor like some reports suggest, or did she walk straight into a trap carefully staged to look that way? Was Holly truly terrified for her safety, or had this been building behind the scenes for months, maybe even years? The truth is, nobody seems to have the full story, and every contradiction makes the silence from authorities feel heavier. One family is grieving, one little boy is left without his mother, and an entire community is demanding answers that just aren't coming fast enough. And here's where the darkest whispers take over. The kind of talk that makes this whole tragedy feel bigger than what's on the surface. Folks aren't just side-eyeing Holly anymore. They're asking if Loss himself, the baby daddy, had a hand in setting everything up. The detail about them showing up in separate cars has fueled the theory that maybe this wasn't random at all, but a carefully orchestrated move. Some even claim Loss might have ordered the hit and then tried to spin it as a messy fight that turned into self-defense. That's the thing. There are so many angles, so many conflicting stories, and barely any solid answers. Was this really just a heated argument that spiraled out of control? Or was it a setup planned from the jump, with the ending already decided before Romeca even pulled into that school parking lot? The bigger question, has the case really been closed? Because from the outside looking in, it feels far from over. The contradictions, the silence from officials, the whispers on the street, none of it adds up. And until more evidence surfaces, people are left in the dark, speculating, piecing together scraps, and refusing to let Romeca's name be forgotten. Justice hasn't come yet, and the louder the questions get, the harder it will be to bury the truth. At the end of the day, one truth cuts deeper than all the rumors, contradictions, and street whispers. A young boy lost his mother in broad daylight, and a family is left grieving while the world debates what really went down. The so-called self-defense claim doesn't erase the fact that Romeca Meeks is gone, her son is silenced by grief, and a community is screaming for justice that still hasn't come. Every detail, the separate cars, the restraining orders, the viral videos, the quick release without charges, only makes this case feel more twisted and suspicious. Was it jealousy, fear, or something orchestrated from the start? People want answers, and the silence from officials is only fueling the fire. One thing's for sure, Romeca's story has become bigger than just one tragedy. It's now a symbol of how violence, secrets, and power can collide in the ugliest ways. Until justice is served, the outrage isn't going anywhere, and neither are the questions. And trust, we're not letting this story die down. BarzBuzz will keep bringing you every twist, every update, and every hidden detail they don't want you to know. So stay locked in, because this saga is far from over.